Welcome or welcome back to WatchAdvisor on YouTube, where the watches are the stars. And we are today in Neuchâtel at the headquarters of Panerai, and with me is Julien Maya. Welcome, Julien.
Hello.
Julien is, his job title is, he's a watch project manager, and what Julien recently did, he was responsible for the industrial realization, industrial side of the new collection. Mm-hmm. And the collection goes back deeply in the history of Panerai to the reference 6152.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
Before we start, I want to mention that all the watches you see are prototypes. So there might be a scratch or something not perfectly there, because these watches have been also shown to the press or been handed to retailers. So those watches are not fabric new watches, but they are the watches you are going to get if you are interested in a Panerai boutique or a Panerai store. So just in case you see something, please don't get excited, because they are prototypes. So what was the idea behind to go back in the 60s, in the beginning, where you had these iconic watches that were used for the military, equipped with Rolex movements, Angelus movements?
Well, last year we updated our automatic collection, so the Luminor Marina one. And this year the idea was to go back to the roots and develop our heritage collection. So we already have the Luminor 47mm in polished steel. And this year we come with a brand new construction in 44mm. So the idea is to have a watch that keeps the same vintage, heritage vibe, and at the same time can be worn by even more people. It's also very comfortable to wear in 44. Of course, both coexist. We still continue with the 47 line, and with the new 44 line, we have a brand new Luminor family with lots of vintage aesthetic details, like the dials and the glass and the shape of the case. So it's a good occasion to remember all the history of Panerai, and that's one of the big things that we push forward during Watches and Wonder presentations and at the booth.
Of course, in the early days, these watches were military watches, so the bigger the better, because readability was easier. But today, people want to wear it on a daily basis and not only for military
every day,
yeah. And so 44mm for sure is the better size. But in terms of design and look and aesthetics, you really are on spot. So there are 4 main references you have been presenting, and there's one little highlight in the end. You want to also think...
A special one, yeah.
Yeah, a very special one. So you should not skip the video before it is, because the watch will be only shown at the end of the video, of course.
I mean, our main highlight this year is the 1731 and 1732 references. We have 2 watches in steel, polished steel, 44mm. They are both using our manufacturer caliber P6000, which is 3 days power reserve. Mm-hmm. Both have the same case, which, as I said, was inspired by the 6152 shape, the lug shape, the shape of the glass. You have this dome crystal. The dials also, they are grainy with matte varnish. For the 1731, you have a tobacco color that we haven't used for some years, actually, but we used a lot in the past.
Grainy is for absorbing the light, not reflecting it. Or is it giving it more a vintage look? Or?
It's more a vintage look.
Okay,
the grain, really, you see texture on the dial, especially when you project light on them, it appears directly. It looks a little bit like the texture you can find on some cameras, for instance.
Okay.
You know? It gives a lot of depth to the dial. These are sandwich dials, so with 2 layers, Super-LumiNova. So as I said, we have the brown one with a small second counter, and we have a blue one without small second counter, so really perfect symmetry with all the numbers.
And it's kind of a left-handed watch.
Left-handed configuration.
Yeah, left-handed configuration. But in reality, it wasn't meant to be that in the early days, because it was for the military to be worn on the right hand. Actually, so they could use compass and other stuff on the left hand.
Yeah, actually, when we started working on this project, we also, of course, took some time to look at the watches in the past. And even in our museum, many of the 6152 are actually modified to be on the other configuration. So they changed the position of the crown. So now we do also a left-handed version, and it can be, of course, used by everybody. Some people prefer to have the crown actually on the arm side, not on the wrist side.
Still historically based and not done by the purpose to have a watch for left-handers. It can be worn, of course,
it can be worn,
but it is historically also based in the DNA, as we just said, for divers, so they could have the compass and other tools on.
Exactly.
Yeah. The watch on your screen is called Luminor. Simply, Luminor is the reference PAM 1731. The watch without those small, running small second and with the crown protection on the other side is called Luminor Destro. And this might be confusing for some of you talking Italian or understanding Italian, because the crown protection is on the left side, but it is called Destro. In Italian, it will be Sinistro. Why do they call it Destro? Right, because most likely they want to refer that people will most likely wear this watch on the right hand. Sizes identical, just the difference is the execution. The crown protection is on the other side and no small seconds. The cases are waterproof 300 meters. But, here comes the extra. They are tested at 375 meters, so they add 25% more. We were able to see the testing of some of the new watches when we were visiting the manufacturer this morning, so you can see this in our video. They are going to be heated up to about 50 degrees, and then there's a shock cooling coming with a cold towel, and in case there would be any humidity in the watch, it would be shown on the inner side of the sapphire crystal. You would see some moisture that would appear there on the inner side. But all the watches we've seen this morning, they were good. Nothing happened, and this is what you expect from a brand of Panerai. And there's also one interesting thing I want to show you. Maybe you have seen it just in our video that the crown protection, this lever was open. This is not done by coincidence. This today is just a design part of the watch. You could, and now people, believe me, you could test the watches with the crown open and it would still be 100% waterproof. So the water tightness is not given by this lever that pushes in the crown, but by the gaskets that are part of the case construction. So water tightness is no longer, of course, done by this lever. It's nice to have it, it's part of the DNA, but today it's design. Does the Calibre 6000, including the running seconds, feature hacking seconds? I can show you. Yes, it does. So you open the protecting lever here, you pull out the crown, and what happens? The small second indication stops. And once you push in the crown, you can either do is like this and then close the lever. It will continue to swipe over the dial. This watch comes with the dark brown calf leather with beige stitching, but also comes with a second strap, a rubber dark brown strap, as you see it here. So you can exchange it. You get the tooling. You have to unscrew here the screw. You get all the tooling comes with the watch. You unscrew, then you can exchange it. You screw it in again, and then you have the watch. And you can wear it with this dark brown rubber strap. And if you now say, okay, nice with the brown leather strap, but can't I have a blue rubber strap? Of course you can. Here it is. So the watch will be sold to you with the brown beautiful leather strap, including the blue rubber strap that you see here. And you just exchange it the same way. No rocket science. Everybody can do this at home. And I think it is a nice possibility to change the look of that watch very quickly, and to have two different ways of wearing it. Especially the leather straps, they get patina. Of course, when they get wet, they get more patina. Some like it, but some say, no, it's not actually what I want. Then choose the rubber strap and you are all set. The part of the manufacturing of cases you see in our video are these cases. So we have been filming this morning here in Neuchâtel at the manufacturer. These cases are 100% done here in-house. They are manufactured, polished, assembled. Everything is done here in Neuchâtel. So these were some of the watches you have been seeing this morning.
And then we have the 1733, which has a different movement. This one has an in-house caliber P5000, which is an 8 days power reserve. The case has a very different finishing. Instead of the just polished finish, we have here the Brunito finish that we introduced a few years ago in our Radiomir line. It's done by hand. You first apply black PVD coating, and then by hand you remove the coating with brushes. So it's a very precise operation.
And you are creating a worn look.
Yes.
A look if the watch would already have been worn before it had been
It looks worn, and aesthetically it's very pleasing to the eye. It's interesting because you have less of the polishing and it becomes matte in a way. So the watch, also with the gray dial, it looks very gray, a bit like a monochromatic watch.
And very technical, I think.
Exactly. And when you go in details and really look from very close up the Brunito finishing, it's interesting because it's very random at the same time. It's a mix of random brushing, and at the end you give a final direction to make it still pleasing. But still, every case is different. If you look from very close, every case has, of course, different strokes.
Every buyer of a Brunito case will get his more or less individual watch.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it's really done by hand, and you can see it when you look it up close. Also, the dial is very different. Here, it's a circular brushed, also done by hand. So the dial is turned with a special tool type of brush, which is applied on it. And again, the lines on the dial are going to be more or less thick, depending on where. So it's also very manual and also a bit more artisanal. The dial are also going to be a little bit different. Each one.
Especially when you're going to play in light with it, and then you will see.
Exactly, especially when you play with the light, it's quite different than standard sun brushing.
This is the reference 1733, the Luminor 8 Giorni, 8 days. Talking about this circular brushed dial, I can show you the effects you can achieve. Of course, the effects will be much more impressive if you are doing this with natural light, but you can see when you play around in our lights here that the dial appears in different shades. This will inspire you when you wear the watch to play around. Quite often when you look at the watch, and you will move it a little bit like this and a little bit like that, and then you will see different reflections coming from the dial. Beautifully done. In terms of dimensions, we are exactly having the same dimensions as the reference 1731 and 1732, but I will still repeat them. It's a 44 millimeter case. The thickness is 14.95. Nothing changes here. It is also, you see here, that beautifully domed sapphire crystal that is giving that watch that vintage look. Has to be like this. In the early days it was plexi. Today it is, of course, sapphire crystal. You can't scratch it. Dial aperture, so what you can really read, is 34 millimeters. The lug-to-lug distance is the length of the watch from here to here. So we always give you these dimensions so you can imagine how the watch fits on your wrist, is 53 millimeters. I can surprisingly also give you the weight of the entire watch head. It doesn't change with all the 3 watches you have seen before. It is 124 grams. This is the weight of the watch head. Is this watch also coming with a second strap? Yes, there you have it. It is a black one. It comes along with the watch. You don't have to buy it extra, of course. But none of the watches until mentioned now is limited. So there is no limitations.
Yeah, no limit. Not
okay.
limited.
It's also always interesting for you guys, just in case you are interested in buying one. You don't have to hurry up too much. Make your choice. Try them on your wrist as always. This is but it's the most important thing to have a watch on the wrist. And this is a good size. I've been trying them. I don't have X large wrists myself, but I tried them and they really fit well.
I have it here on the wrist, so you can see.
A good size. It's a good size.
It's a very good size.
Yeah.
Of course, it depends.
Yeah.
So, some people, 47 fits really better.
You can wear 47, but it is big.
It's big for many people.
In summer maybe, but when you have to get something under a sleeve or into a jacket, 47 millimeters tend to become a pizza.
It's very important for us to have both.
We
will never stop doing 47. We don't stop. Of course, the 44 is not a replacement. It's really an alternative. But still, we animate the 47 line with a new watch also. That's why I jumped to this. The 1735. So here it's a grainy dial, also with a matte lacquer. but this time with some kind of a tropical effect color. So you can see that it's like a eggshell sand color in the center with a dégradé effect.
Quickly, dégradé, if you don't speak French, it means that from the outside it's darker and getting lighter in the inner side.
Yeah, you can also say smoked, I think. Or
smoked,
it's
yeah.
Not, I mean, yeah, smoked.
Smoked or dégradé, okay.
Yeah, darker on the edges and lighter on the side, and you really see the color in the middle.
Yeah.
So this one has a P3000, in-house caliber P3000, which is 3 days per reserve, like the first two, but a much bigger caliber, which is also made to fit our 47mm case. So you can see with a polished finishing on the case.
Now we come back to a bold size. Julien and me, we have been talking about the 47mm size that they of course keep in their collection because it's part of the history of Panerai. 47mm is the size of this Luminor. It is called PAM 7035, a watch that on a regular wrist or a smaller wrist can fit, must not fit. This is something you have to try out, guys. I can't give you any recommendations. Can I wear a 47mm watch? Yes or no? The thing you have to do really is go and try it. You might even like 47mm, even though now in the video you think 47mm, who can wear such a watch? It's crazy. Try it. You never know. You never know. Okay, 47mm is the diameter. The thickness, 16.4mm. That's quite something. Yes, I know. But still, look, part of the thickness comes from that domed sapphire crystal. You see it here? This sapphire crystal adds some millimeters of thickness. End of the day, it is so beautiful to see the distortions, and it brings on this cool look. You could make it flat, but wouldn't look as good as it looks now. The lug-to-lug distance, 57 millimeters. So 57 millimeters is the lug-to-lug distance, and that's quite something. But then the readability of course increases, because if you have a big case, you have a big dial, and the dial aperture here is 36.5 millimeters, and this is quite something. So readability is really good in this case if you want to know the real size of the watch, because if we talk about 47 millimeters, we just talk about the case. We have not yet been talking about the millimeters that the crown protection adds. And I can tell you, if you add this, you arrive at 54 millimeters. So 47 is the case, including the crown protection with that lever. It is 54 millimeters. It's big, but still, guys, try it. You never know. It can fit. It must not fit, but it can fit. Sometimes a big watch even looks good on a small wrist. You never know. This case is only waterproof up to 100 meters plus 25%. They are testing all the watches plus 25%. So any indication of a Panerai watch you read is always being tested plus 25%. More than enough in a daily life. You don't need more than this. Anyhow, if you are planning to go swimming with the watch, so now the question is, do I have to go swimming with the dark brown calf leather with beige stitching? No, you don't have to, because the watch of course comes with a black rubber strap, and it is part of the box you get when you buy the watch. No additional fees or no additional paying for the rubber strap. It comes with it. You can exchange it. No rocket science. Believe me, no rocket science. And as I said before, there is one more surprise. You were introducing it to me just a couple of hours ago when we arrived, and I said, wow, a cool project. And it was quite tough to realize it, as you told me.
Yes, the 1629, it's a very special project. For this one, we actually wanted to explore how to make a Damascus style watch.
I only know steel knives, Damascus knives, and they're hammered.
There are different ways to do it, but the original way to do it is, as you say, hammering, like forging layers upon layers, and then you press them and you cut through it, and depending on how the layers were done and the angle of the cutting, you get different effects. And here it's the same, but with titanium. So this material is much more corrosion resistant than steel Damascus. That's why we chose it. And it's made out of titanium grade 2 and titanium grade 5. in layers. So you forge the 2 grades of titanium, and then you obtain some bars of material which you can cut. And here we cut in actually different directions to give a wavy pattern. So when I say every watch is different with the Brunito, it's even much more here in this situation the case, because the layers are not perfectly parallel. It's melted metal, so it's like wavy. If you cut it like this, you will see some dots and islands, kind of. So when you cut it, every watch is different. The patterns are going to be different for every component. And here we have the case middle part, which is cut straight. When you see the case from the side, you're going to see layers in parallel lines, but the bezel and the crown protector and the lever are cut with an angle, so you have a pattern which differs totally. The big thing with this project that took us a lot of time was to reveal the structure, because when you cut the Damascus titanium, you don't see the lines. You don't really see the difference between titanium grade 2 and grade 5. And to reveal it, we had to do a lot of work on the finishing side and also on the chemical side to really differentiate the layers.
But this is limited to 100 pieces.
100 pieces, yes.
Every buyer of the watch gets more or less his individual watch.
Completely, no 2 watches are going to be the same. We cut and we assemble them to have the same layers, like a bit like we actually use the same style as the Carbotech that we do, but with much more variability in the waves and in the patterns.
Very nice. It is a very cool watch, I have to say. And when you are not aware of what they have been doing, and then you get the story, the background story, and you just heard it, then you really get respect. You say, oh, wow, this couple of years of research and doing and try error of going backward and forward. And yeah, that's an interesting project, and yeah, looks cool, I have to say. Yeah,
it's cool, it's original. And yeah, we have all the benefits of the titanium while having aesthetical effect, which is...
it's light.
It's quite different.
No corrosion. It's good for the skin. There's no allergic reactions with skin. So it's a very, let's say, positive material. The others are not negative materials, but if you were talking about titanium, and it's always nice to have titanium. And last but not least, this is the Luminor forged titanium. Julien has been explaining you all the things that happened until they were able to do this forged titanium. It took them a while. It's the PAM 1629. It is the same size as the watch you just saw before, but the weight of the watch head is only 121 grams compared to 149 grams. This is what you have as a weight difference if you use titanium. So 47 millimeters, yes. The thickness is 16.4 millimeters, and we have the same effect here when we play around with the watch. You see that there is this huge domed sapphire crystal on top that really sits on it like a little crown, but it delivers these unique and beautiful effects of distortion when you play around with it, and I think it's very nice. Well, does this come only with the light beige calf scamoschiato with TT stitching? Don't ask me exactly what all this means. I don't know, to be honest, but it is beautifully made. But if you think now, this looks quite fragile in terms of what happens if it gets wet, what happens if I sweat. But of course it comes with a black rubber strap, and so if you need to wear the watch in wet conditions or humid conditions, I'd rather recommend you to change it to the rubber strap and to keep the beautiful, I have to read that out, light beige calf scamoschiato with TT stitching. Voila. My favorite is the Brunito. I love this look of used watch. It's like if you were buying a used jean or something. You're buying a new watch, you have this monochromatic look, as you said. This is really my favorite this year.
It's also my favorite one.
I like the fact that you buy something new that looks used, but it is done by purpose. And this is really a watch that attracts that really jumped into my eyes and I said, wow, that's so cool. Really cool. Nothing against the other ones. Cool watches, nice watches. And I also very much like the fact that you've been going down in sizes, but still kept the DNA, and you are referring to this iconic reference. But they are no longer military purpose watches. So you want to wear them on a daily purpose. And as you said, keeping 47 millimeters is something you have to do because Panerai is known for being bold. There are only a few brands that can say this in these sizes, but you are among them.
It's essential.
Yeah, and other brands, if they would do 47 millimeters, this would look, I don't know. Julien, that was nice.
Thank you.
To meet you.
It was very nice.
Thank you very much for your time and to explain to our audience what you have been doing. He was in charge on the industrial side of the project. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank you for the whole team who worked on this project.
Thank you, Julien.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you liked it. Please let me know which is your favorite. Mine is this one, and I'm very curious to learn from you which is your favorite. This is the one Destro, that is not Sinistro, but Destro, you remember? This is the one with the beautifully dial that is more dark at the outer side and less in the inner side. This is the classical brown dial they have been redoing this year, and here you have the forged titanium version. Thanks for watching once again on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. Please post as much as comments as you can and come back very soon because we are going to continue the novelties with Panerai in the next weeks by presenting you also the Luminor 31 Giorni, the 31-day power reserve. This is a very technical project, and we will do a separate video where we are going to introduce you and give you very, very technical insights about this watch. Bye-bye, guys.